You ever go down the rabbit hole of spiritual healing? I mean, it is a world filled with these just incredible stories of recovery, but it's also got these other experiences, the ones that are a lot harder to explain. So today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating framework from our source material that offers a pretty surprising answer to a huge question.
Right? Why does one person have this miraculous cure while somebody else with the exact same issue sees no change whatsoever? It's the kind of question that can make you pretty skeptical. But according to the work of Professor Lercio Fonseca, it actually points to a much bigger, almost cosmic picture.
And this is really where the two worlds collide. I mean, from a scientific point of view, consistency is everything. If a treatment works, it should work reliably, right? If it's inconsistent, it starts to look like a failure or maybe even a fraud. But from the spiritual perspective we're exploring today, this inconsistency, well, it isn't a flaw at all. It's actually a feature, and it has a really profound explanation.
And that explanation? It all hangs on this one central idea, a concept that the framework calls karmic diseases.
So what exactly are they? Well, according to this view, some illnesses aren't just, bad luck or a roll of the genetic dice. Nope, they are integral, pre-planned parts of a soul's journey, experiences that were literally designed before we were born to help balance the scales for things we did in past lives.
Okay, so the next logical question is, who's doing all this planning? And the framework has a very structured answer for that. It all comes down to a group known as the Karmic Council.
The way it's described, this council is basically a whole department in the astral plane. It's a group of spiritual beings, and their entire job is to manage the incredibly complex process of reincarnation for every single soul. In a way, they're the architects of our life circumstances.
And they have a system, a very clear process. So when a soul arrives in the astral plane, the council pulls up its karmic file, which is basically a record of everything it's ever done. Based on that record, they design a brand new life project, one that's custom-tailored to give that soul the chances it needs to grow and resolve old debts. And only then is the soul sent on its way to be reincarnated.
Now, I love this, because look at how the source material makes this really abstract idea feel so modern and relatable. We're not talking about dusty old scrolls here. Think of it like a divine cloud server. The soul shows up, puts its finger down for a biometric scan, and boom, its entire history is downloaded for review. It's such a great metaphor for a super efficient cosmic bureaucracy.
So, okay, we've got a spiritual plan. But how in the world does that plan actually show up in the physical world, in our actual bodies?
This is such a critical piece of the puzzle. The theory says that our physical bodies are not random at all. Instead, these astral architects literally design a biological blueprint based on what that soul needs for its karmic journey. This blueprint basically determines our physical setup before we're even conceived. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at a pretty intense case study that the source describes.
Okay, so imagine a soul who, in a past life, was a torturer. Someone who caused horrible, prolonged suffering to another person. An act like that, according to this framework, creates a very specific, very heavy kind of spiritual debt.
And that debt has a name: acquired karma. This isn't just general, vague bad karma. No, this is a direct consequence of a really serious violation against another person's free will. And a debt like that, the framework says, demands an equally direct and proportional experience to achieve balance.
So, the Karmic Council designs this soul's next life with a hidden biological timer. The person is born, life goes on as normal until, let's say, age 18, and then, wham, a severe degenerative disease gets triggered. And get this for precision. According to the source, the age it starts is deliberately chosen to match the exact age the soul began its terrible acts in the past life. Chilling, right? Now, it's really important to understand this point. This isn't presented as some kind of cosmic revenge. The source is very clear on this. It's a mechanism of justice. It's about creating an experience that forces the soul to finally truly understand the weight and consequences of its past actions, which is what leads to real resolution.
Okay, so let's connect all these dots and bring it back to our original question about why some spiritual healings just don't seem to work.
So, our person from the case study, they're now 18, they're suffering from this awful disease, and they hear about a powerful spiritual healer. Of course they go, probably full of hope, looking for a cure, for any kind of relief.
The healer does their work, but nothing happens. The disease just keeps going. Now, from our perspective down here on Earth, that looks like a total failure. The healer failed, the energy didn't work, something went wrong. But in the spiritual reality being described here, the absolute opposite is true. The Life Project is unfolding perfectly. The suffering is the point. It is the pre-planned, pre-agreed path for this soul's journey to find balance.
And that is the absolute crux of it all. Within this spiritual framework, the denial of the cure is actually the ultimate success. It means the cosmic blueprint is being carried out exactly as it was designed. The healer's apparent failure is, in a strange way, the confirmation that a much deeper, karmic lesson is right on track.
And that just leaves us with this huge final thought to chew on. I mean, this is just one framework, one perspective, of course. But what if? What if we just entertain the idea that our biggest, hardest struggles aren't just random tragedies, but are actually purposeful pieces of a grand design for our own growth and for cosmic justice? If that were true, how might that change the way we look at hardship, both in our own lives and in the lives of everyone around us?